Welcome back to That's What She Said in the She Said studios on Neal Street in downtown Champaign. This week's episode, we are featuring a very special guest. Please join us in welcoming Ms. Becca Guyette.
Woo! Hello,
now,
everyone.
Becca was a featured speaker in our live stage show in October 2015. So Becca, tell us a little bit about yourself and a little bit about that experience where you came to be part of the She Said family.
Oh, well, sure. So I am 37 years old.
We celebrate.
We do celebrate. I have been here in Champaign for 15 years. Came here for graduate school and never left. And happily married, and most days married, no. And building a house with my husband out in Savoy. We have 2 little ones, and I loved being part of the She Said family. It was nerve-wracking when Carrie scared me and bombarded me when I was getting my annual appointment, which in fact is a manicure. And
not what you thought it was going to be.
It's true. I got a call from my co-founder Jill, and she was like, Code Becca. She's getting her nails done. And we really did attack her at her manicure.
And what was I to say? You know, I was soaking in the palm olive, and and so I said yes, but I was very anxious about the experience, which ended up being probably one of the best experiences of my life.
And so the title of your piece in the live stage show was "Everyone Should Have a Mexican Mother."
Yes.
So we're going to share with you a clip from Becca's performance in the 2015 That's What She Said show.
Now, you would expect a grandmother to show up with surprises for her grandchildren, which she does, but she takes it one step further. Every visit, she shows up with a large cooler full of food that she has my dad lug in, with a main dish, sometimes roast, sometimes tamales, and about half a dozen butter and cottage cheese containers, none of which contain butter nor cottage cheese, full of rice, beans, what have you. And that's just how she rolls. Not because she's necessarily planning on feeding anyone, but because she might need to feed someone. God forbid anyone leave this woman's presence hungry.
So, Becca, that was your piece talking about some fun things about your mother.
Yes, there are a lot of fun things about my mother.
So I have to share because I love that piece, and that was only one small example of the quirks that come from Mama Nieto.
Yes.
And I can never look at another cottage cheese or butter container without thinking of that story and that moment. Like just this morning, I was scooping out the last scoop of cottage cheese for my daughter at breakfast, and here I am washing out the container so I could reuse it, all because of that moment. And
she would be proud. She would be proud. Yes.
And what's so beautiful is that, exchanging these stories and sharing these personal moments does really tie women together. And, I feel connected not only to you, but to your mother. And there's these moments now that I share with you and with her because of cottage cheese. But
I've heard from so
powerful.
many women in the last, it's been about, 8 months since we've done the show. And, from church to work to playground, hearing from other women who some part of my talk resonated, with it. And they just have said, oh, yes, I can relate to the protectiveness, the loyalty, whatever it was, the faithfulness.
So we learned working with you leading up to the show that those were just a few examples of the many, many, many stories you have about your mother. So I wondered if you had any other stories about Mama you could share with us today.
I have many stories of Mama. A very recent one is that one of my 4 sisters is coming home next weekend for a visit, and this sort of ties into the loyalty and the fact that Mom would do anything for any of us. And just last weekend, it was my son's first communion, and she couldn't stay overnight, but she drove 5 hours, came to Mass, came to brunch, and turned around and drove 5 hours and went back home. And that's a perfect example. So I was talking to her the other day, and she said, "Are you coming next weekend? Your sister's coming." And I said, "Well, you know, Mom, I want to come. I'm intending on coming, but, you know, it's the weekend before our big fundraiser at work." And so she's like, "Oh, I understand. I understand. That's a lot of driving. That's a lot of driving." Yes, Mom, that is a lot of driving.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, I did it, but
last weekend I did it all in one day, but, you know.
She's not an expert at playing that guilt card, is she? Does anyone else have that in your lives?
The
guilt card?
Yes.
I get it.
I play the
Regular
guilt
person.
card. Yeah,
You're that mom?
I am that mom.
You've advanced.
I am.
Yeah.
I played the guilt card. Well, I think we all have stories about our parents that crack us up, and I come from a big family, and so my sisters and I, we live for those mom moments.
Yes.
Because as they're playing out, I'm already retelling it in my head.
Oh,
like
yes.
A couple Thanksgivings ago, my brother-in-law had to go to the store to get a gallon of milk because we ran out. And so right in the middle, and he tells us the grocery he's going to go to, which my mom thinks this place they charge too much. And so he tells her where he's going to go, and she blurts out, she has a history of mixing up her phrases and words, and so she blurts out, "You don't want to go up there, they will jack you off." My sisters and I are all like, "Mom, I think you mean that they will rip him off." "No, girls, they will. They will jack him off." As
So
he's like peeling out of the driveway.
I'm
going.
like,
and we're all trying to tell her, and she's mad that we're correcting her. She's mad. They will.
Where's that story?
Yeah,
No,
they
wait
will.
A second. That's what my kids do to me, because one day I said to my daughter-in-law, she said something to me that was kind of kidding, and I said, "Are you pimping me?" And she looked at me real, and I thought, "Well,
Pimping?
She said, "You want to say that again?" And I said, "Yeah. Are you kidding me? Are you pimping me?" And she said, "Oh, Carol, you better not say that anymore."
Wrong word. Grandchildren in the house, Carol.
I still don't get it.
Pimping.
Well, it's kind of like when I say to Gary when he's trying to get me some photo jobs, I say, "Are you my photo pimp?" And
Well, that's
he takes offense to that.
I do not think that word
more closely
means what you
aligned.
think.
Probably
Yeah.
not. I know
Yeah.
what the word.
Pimping is related to prostitution.
And so
and you-
every time you say it, that's the definition. Every time.
I'm-
Just assume.
Okay.
And I'm not
assume.
sure,
I got it.
but I'm pretty positive that she is not pimping you anywhere, anyhow.
That's quite a
Unless you
We'll
have
see.
something you
it's
want
quite
to
a
share.
unique
Unless-
relationship with your daughter-in-law. that
That's
you
true.
have, if
Very
so.
unique.
Yes.
My parents just gave my sister a surprise visit, and it made me think of one of your stories.
Oh yes, yeah. My surprise visits. People can hardly believe it. It's if you don't know my mom, it seems outrageous to think that she could live so far away and surprise visit.
Mm-hmm.
If you know my mother, that doesn't seem surprising at all. People say, "Oh, well, of course you would." Yeah,
course
that
you
makes
would.
sense. But yes, I've shared.
How far is she away?
She's about
5
4.5, 5 hours. Wow. Yeah, 4.5 hours. If I'm driving, it's 4.5 hours.
Yeah.
But it's about a 5-hour drive. Yes, and so on more than one occasion, she's called, and the exit they take is in Urbana, and there's a Walmart near it, and so it's sort of the same scene plays out where she'll say, "What are you doing?" "Oh, I'm cleaning up the kitchen or getting the kids dinner." Or, "What are you doing?" "I'm getting off the exit right now. I see Walmart." In the same tone, same level of excitement. And I'm like,
Are you surprised?
"I'll be there soon." "What's for dinner?" Although we all know she brought dinner.
It's in her trunk.
Let's be real here.
And
She knows what's for dinner.
And she doesn't spend money on Tupperware. I love that.
Oh,
Reuse, recycle.
redo. She was the original recycler. I mean, it's like Earth Day, please. She's been celebrating.
I
that
now feel
forever.
guilty. I can't throw away these containers.
I
Thanks
save
to your mom.
everything. Even my kids. "Oh, Mom, you save everything." No, your grandmother saves everything. I save a lot.
How did your mom react to you doing this performance that was all about her last year?
Yeah, well, I think that was by far the best part of the performance. It was a challenging year for our family. My father was diagnosed with terminal cancer, and my parents have been married almost 50 years. They are, in every sense of the word, a unit. And the year really, she's always been a giver. Everything is about my mom, and a giving and everything is about people around her. And last year that went to a whole new level, really, you know. And the one thing that I noticed last year especially is, and it didn't occur to me until we were all going through it, is that she has given and given and given to her children, to the church, to the community, but her staple and her, you know, stalwart is my dad. And, you know, that's the person that bestows on her all that she bestows on everybody else. And he just couldn't physically. I mean, his health just failed drastically. And so, not that she's ever been great about putting herself first, but she really, her health and her taking care of herself has taken a back seat. So doing the show and highlighting her, and even though I did it in a funny way, I certainly think the underlying message was intended, and it seems she took it this way as being about her and how wonderful and unique and special and loving of a woman she is. And she's one of a kind. I mean, people have always said that about her, and she really is. She's just one of a kind. She's unlike anyone I've ever met, and I'm sure anyone I'll ever know, in that she gives so much of herself. So it was wonderful to have the opportunity, and that's really sort of what turned me on the show, where it went from being, oh, one more thing I have to do, to this opportunity to talk and highlight, you know, the most important person in my life.
And think of how many times other women have watched that or heard you tell that story and thought of their own moms and kind of honored their own moms because of what you did in front of that audience. I think that's probably one of the greatest takeaways from the show last time was, you know, who do you need to say hi to, or who do you need to call and say, I see you, I recognize you, and
absolutely,
you're important to me.
So we need to wrap up this episode of That's What She Said, but I have one little thing to share. So in our last episode, we talked about defining moments, and we looked at the history that each of us shared and finding that moment that brought us together to start this journey as co-hosts of the show. And I just have to share, there is a defining moment that we didn't talk about, and it's that none of this would be here, and this wouldn't have happened if it weren't for this woman right here. So because of Becca's work with United Way, I had the great fortune of working on Power of the Purse last year, and it was through that event that I met Carrie, and I was able to work on the stage show, and we all got to bond over the live performance, and then we came up with the idea for the show. So I love looking back at you know, the moment that changed everything, that brings you to this moment today. So, and
that was a moment of great pride of women in our community. The Power of the Purse event, you look around and the ladies show up.
They do.
And they support each other, and they are there ready to make their community a better place and have a great time that night. It's a great time. But what an event to shine a light on how awesome the women in our community are.
Yeah, I'm grateful. I'm so grateful that it has turned into what it has. And
sold out in 45 minutes.
Sold out in 45 minutes this year, and doubled our sponsorship, and you know, which means we're doubling the impact we're going to be able to have in our community this year through our shelter and the scholarships for women. So I'm just, it's so cliche, but I just never cease to be amazed by this community, and especially the women in this community and their generosity.
And that's where this all came about. Like, we're so excited to see where That's What She Said can go, and how many lives we can influence, and the things that we can do for the community as well. But we are just getting started. But that's all we have for today's episode. So until next time, that's what she said.
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 Oh, no, she said it.
She said it.
For today's show, we'd like to thank Banks Champagne for providing the She Said studio space.
Hey Mom, it's me. I just finished filming a web series for That's What She Said. They're doing one of those now, so that was super fun. But I just wanted to let you know that we thought about it, and we are going to make the drive this weekend. So looking forward to seeing you. Love you both. Bye.